All right, guys. Sorry I'm a little bit late. I was setting up some stuff, getting that website up, and it is officially live. So we'll wait till a couple more people join before we start talking about some of the other stuff that's on the website and some of the features that I tried to include. So the website is live, but we're going to add a lot more stuff to the website, including all the graduation standards, what to expect out of ETD, all that kind of stuff. The main thing that I want to put in there for you guys out there is the equipment that you need for the workouts, and then also some of the past test standards. I know that there are some out there, and your recruiters might have some very vague information, but I wanted to make sure that you guys had the exact standards that we're going to go by whenever you come over to get evaluated over at Indoc. So let me just talk about that progression again, because I think some people last time were a little bit confused as to what the process is. And I've been getting a lot of messages about what they're going to expect from BMT up to BA prep, all that kind of stuff. So let me just start. You're going to go through BMT. I don't really know much about what happens before basic training because it's not really in my realm or my scope. If you guys have questions about exactly what to expect at before BMT or any of that kind of stuff, entrance requirements, I would talk to the recruiter, and there's plenty of them. I'm sure there are going to be some that are joining us here soon, but get with those guys. So once you go to basic training, you can expect that you're going to have a PJ that was an Indoc instructor over there helping you guys to grow. They're going to come up with some workout plans. They're going to watch you guys swim. They're going to help you guys or kind of mentor you guys, talk to you, tell you some stories about themselves and what they've done, that kind of stuff. So you can expect that. And they're going to try and designate a battlefield airman flight now in basic training so that you guys can compete against each other and grow that way. So you can expect that coming soon. And also, once you graduate, I wouldn't expect any breaks in between when you start basic training until you graduate, basically dive school. Now, there are some times when you have breaks after Indoc, but it's pretty rare, so I wouldn't anticipate you getting any breaks or time for leave until after you're done with dive school. After you're done with dive school, you're going to PCS out to Kirtland. So going back after you finish basic training, you go straight into what's called Battlefield Airman Prep now. We have a couple PJ instructors that are helping you guys, specifically the PJs, students, get through the BA prep. It's not really like a selection course or anything like that, but they do some physical activity just to help you guys numbers-wise with calisthenics and that kind of stuff. Again, I've only seen mild improvement in the BA prep guys, but it's just designed to help you know a little bit more about how to train and be a little bit better. That's 8 weeks, so 6 weeks plus 8 weeks of basic or BA prep, and then on top of that, you're going to go from BA prep. The last day of BA prep is going to be a Friday, which is the day that you're going to take the PASS test. The PASS test is not considered part of the indoctrination course or anything like that. Once you're done with BA prep, you're going to have the PJ instructors from Indoc. They're going to evaluate you on your calisthenics for the PASS test, the strict PASS test, 1.5 mile run and all that stuff. They're going to evaluate you on that. And after you pass, then you're going to go into a development course, which is 2 weeks long. And then after development course, you're going to go into Indoc. So I know that's a lot of different courses, a lot of different stuff, and a lot of different time frames. But in total, it's to help you guys be as prepared as possible. We don't want guys to fail out, contradictory to what everyone thinks. We want everyone to pass Indoc. We want as many people to get through as possible, but the course is what it is because we want to make sure that you guys are ready to go on the battlefield when the time comes and you're able to depend on each other and, save the day. So, Caleb Yates Fitness asked, is BA Prep what we know as Dev Course? No. BA Prep is something that started this last summer. The first course went through, I think it started at the end of May. and that is an 8-week course. The curriculum's a little bit flexible right now, so they're trying to make things better, but they're just trying to get it off the ground right now. So gonna have to kind of bear with them and be as prepared as possible before you show up. So the BA prep, like I said, is 8 weeks, and that's working with civilian swim coaches from different colleges around the country and a couple strength coaches and that kind of stuff. So once you do BA prep, you're going to go into the development course, which is specifically learning about Indoc and all the types of evaluations that you're going to be doing at Indoc. So that's what BA prep, and that is different. Haley Luker, what do they do in the dev course for 2 weeks? So in the dev course, the Indoc instructors have to kind of flip a switch and be a little bit more gentle to you guys. It's not like we're not yelling at you, but we're not dropping you. We're not making you guys suffer as much when it gets to development course, because we're trying to teach you exactly the pool deck procedures. Like when you enter the pool, this is the area that you're going to call. If an instructor walks in, you call the area to attention. If you don't, then you're going to pay. Later on in Indoc, all we can do is say, you're going to pay later on. But, you know, it is what it is. We're just trying to teach you the ground rules, and it doesn't really ever hit home until you actually get to Indoc and you're like, crap, they weren't joking about that. But so we teach you that stuff, how to set up your equipment on the side of the deck, how to sound off, how to count off when you're in the water, how to, basically all the different steps, how to tread, how to do belly breathing. So that's kind of what development course is meant for, and it's kind of an introductory period for you guys to get your bearings before we actually start really hitting the throttle and giving it, or make smoking you guys. Mont Wilson, AFSOC passed. The AFSOC and the PAST are two different tests. The AFSOC is what the operators take for their 1.5 year evaluation PT test, and then the PAST test is just normal PAST test. Staff Sergeant Spencer, so it's not BA prep straight to AFSC Indoc. You will go from BA prep. It's different for the different pipeline students, but for PJ students, you're going to go from BA prep straight into development course, which is the first school technically of the pipeline, but Indoc is the second. So it's the course of initial entry right now, but they're trying to get away from development course because the BA prep might absorb some of the stuff that we're trying to teach you guys in development course, so that when you get to Indoc, your first introduction to an Indoc instructor is, getting smoked. Caleb B8's fitness. BA prep was not what you did in basic training. We had another Battlefield Airman instructor, TAC P guy, or whoever it was that came out and did some stuff with you guys, but that is not what BA prep is. Sarturo, do BA prep and the developers apply to people trying to get through the guard? No, actually they don't, because your guard specific unit or whatever is going to have their own selection. I'm sure if you applied already that you know that they have that. So only non-prior service guys or people that came straight out of basic training are going to go to the BA prep. Everyone else is going to have some sort of other selection that's going to help them kind of focus on what they have to do. So for the prior service guys, like from other branches or the Crows or guard guys, you're going to have those phase 2 prep kind of things rather than BA prep. Sarturo again, do BA prep and developers apply to people trying to get into the guard? Nope, same thing. The Schreiner family, do you know what scheduled dates for Indoc are for 2018? I can tell you that this next class, they're going to take the PAST test in, December 14th, I believe. And then after they get through, January 3rd, they're going to start class. And then the next class starts in March. I think it's like March 10th or something like that. And then the next class after that is going to start in May. And it just keeps on going. So you can just expect that every 11 weeks a different class is going to start, starting from January 3rd. ISBR. Do you need an EMT cert before going to Indoc? Nope, definitely don't need any of that kind of stuff. All you really need is to be motivated and hopefully grad standards, and obviously pass all the MEP stuff, but you don't need any EMT certs. You'll get that whenever you get through the pipeline after you finish your dive school and all your other free fall courses and stuff like that. You'll go to paramedic school. Sergeant Spencer is a dev course physical. Somewhat physical. You're doing a couple workouts here and there. You're doing some runs, but it's mostly just to teach you guys how to do the procedures. Like on a run, you need to call out obstacles, post road guards, calling out jodies and that kind of stuff. And we're just trying to teach you that basic stuff so that you have a foundation. So it is physical, but it's not going to be like a smoke or anything like that. Caleb SM, any long-term wisdom for ROTC candidates striving for Crow? Yeah, I'd say a lot of the times we see the Crows and they are not really prepared for Indoc. I don't know what happens back at the units, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of mentorship going on. So I'd say find a strong mentor and, read whatever books he suggests. Take whatever opportunities that you have to lead people and actually try to lead them. Don't just sit in the back and try and, just be in the shadows or anything like that. You need to be up front. You need to be the strongest candidate that we have at Indoc, because the purpose of a Crow at Indoc is to lead these guys that don't have any experience in life or don't have anything to stand on. They're looking towards a leadership in order to guide them through the indoctrination course so that they can make it also. So we want our Crows to be the most physically strong candidates that are on the team, period. So let's see. Pararescue, is it a problem to be below grad standards at the start of Indoc? It's not a problem if you're just below. If your push-ups are at least above 62, I'd say. It's kind of hard to come back from 58 or below 62, really. It doesn't happen very often because even though you're working out all the time at Indoc, it's just constant breakdown of everything that you're doing. You're just smoked all day, you're tired by the end of the day, and it's just hard to recover. So the higher your calories can be before you start, the better off you're going to be as far as Indoc. Sergeant Spencer, have you seen less people failing out Indoc? Initial pass since BA prep? Nope. The exact same number of people ended up failing out. So typically there's a 30% fail out rate, which is surprising for the pass test. But it was the same thing last time. We only had one guy out of the 25 people that graduated BA prep actually graduate Indoc. So the rest, injuries, self-initiated elimination, or they quit. So unfortunately, BA prep hasn't really boosted our numbers too well, but they're still working on it. Obviously, they have teams that are trying to analyze everything from A to Z, so I'm sure they'll come with a good product. And I've tried to advise them on some of the stuff, and we'll see how it goes. It can only get better from here. Let's see. Caleb Bates Fitness, has Big Blue changed the course like they were trying to back then? I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. If you can clarify a little bit later. Stevie Wonder, if you're already NREMT certified, would you skip on the paramedic portion? Yes. As long as you're still current with your paramedic certification, then you can skip through the paramedic portion. So that saves you about 9 months. Bob Humble. I don't know if you're a PJ or not, Bob Humble, but only PJs can get Charlie. And if you guys look up Charlie later on, he's a like totem pole head or something like that from Vietnam. He has like 1 million jumps, and it's just a little statue that we carry around, and PJs basically just fight over him. Do cross trainees go through a pre-Indoc? Where should they be physically for that? This is for Mark Zilla. Yes. Cross trainees, prior service guys, you're all going to go through the PJ Phase 2, which is 5 days long. Here it includes boards, and we're trying to test your leadership and that kind of stuff to make sure that you're able to lead these airmen just like the crows through whatever Indoc has to offer for them. So yes, you guys are going to go through a Phase 2, and physically it's just going to be a lot of push-ups, the normal stuff. Just expect to get smoked, basically. Duck walks, bear crawls, all that kind of stuff. Mont Wilson, 1 week prep selection for, same thing. Brandon Alexian, can you take leave after completing dive school? Yes, you will most likely be able to take leave because you're going to be PCSing from Lackland over to Kirtland. So, yes, you could definitely take some leave after that. Kylam 515, holidays are in Indoc. You still have your holidays. We just move around the schedule to make sure that... Alright. Would LASIK sorry, I just had some problems there. I don't know what's going on. Bashua Jaka. Would LASIK or any sort of bad vision disqualify someone from being PJ? Nope, as long as your vision is correctable to 20/20, you'll be good to go. Same thing about the paramedic stuff. Captain Poison, I would read Mission, The Men in Me. It's a pretty good book. I read That Others May Live whenever I was coming in. Later on, The Never Quit was one of the guys that I went through Indoc with. He actually wrote that book. He ended up getting shot in the head, and cool stories off of that. So some of those books would be pretty good. Mario Francesco, what do you prefer nutrition-wise during Indoc? Since we have that dining hall with all that food, BA prep trainee. Okay. I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but really, if you guys can get off base, get something to snack on, like a protein shake before you guys go to sleep, that kind of stuff. Hydrate throughout the night, even though you have to pee at least once or twice throughout the night. You want to make sure that you're ready to go for that next morning, because it really helps your regeneration and your recovery for the next day. So, aside from that, just a constant, you should probably be eating at least 5 to 6 times per day, just to get your body used to that. That's what you're going to be doing during Indoc and some of the other courses. We're going to tell you guys to eat snacks constantly, but you're only going to have your main breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So that's the best we can do, but we'll give you guys plenty of snacks. And I'm sure in the BA prep you've seen all the snacks that we have. Brian F. Ritchie, is it better to be the gray man, or should you be noticed by instructors? That's a difficult question to ask or answer, but honestly, if you're the gray man, at least at first, and you're just constantly crushing all the training. I mean, I've seen some guys who are the gray man. I was a gray man whenever I was going through Indoc. I literally walked up on the stage, they said my name, and they were like, Silva, who's Silva? He's graduating? Like, they didn't know I was on the team, which I don't know. I mean, that's good for, airman, one striper kind of guy. But if you're in a leadership position, you should definitely stand out as the leader, not be the gray man. As for if you're, brand new, out of basic, being the gray man for a long time is good. And you're definitely going to get through Indoc as long as we don't have to call your name or any of that kind of stuff. But later on, I'll probably focus on a little bit of watching out for your team. That's what we want to see the most as Indoc instructors, especially if we end up working with you guys later on after we see you at Indoc. We want to make sure that you guys care about the team, basically. We want to see that you guys are motivated team players and you're just constantly looking out for everyone else, not just yourself. So, kind of two different answers, but It's kind of what we like to see, and every instructor is different. Paying $395. When can you change jobs if you already went through a different tech school? After a year and a half, I believe, you can put in your application so that you can cross-train over, and you'll probably be shipped out at the 2-year mark, so that's when you can change over. BC sneaks. Any tips for guard, security forces, wanting to switch to an active duty with a PJ contact? No, I can't tell you exactly. I'm sure if you looked up the units or one of the recruiters on here will probably be able to help you guys with that kind of stuff. I don't know much about that backside stuff. Um, 30-year-old Navy Corpsman. This is for STMCC 921. Yeah, there are some age waivers, but I think if you're under 40 years old or something like that, you're good to go. So 30-year-old, you shouldn't have any issues trying to get in. J. McCuselli. What is the number one injury you see in the pipeline? Particular muscle group? Most of the guys, I think it's kind of, rolled ankle, high thing that we see. And then next to that, probably shin splints. We see tons of people that have shin splints and they just never, I guess, worked out before they came to Indoc or whatever it was. Their body just wasn't used to the amount of physical activity that we're doing over there. So those are kind of the main things that we see as far as injuries. A mile 70, you have to pass a pass test before you ship to basic training. Yes, you do have to pass a pass test, but it's with a recruiter, and a lot of times they're just really lenient. You're just trying to get you out the door and that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit, difficult. Okay, yeah, I'm just getting this pause thing, yeah. Sorry about that. I didn't know what was going on there. All right. MIMRE 18. Feel like you hit a wall with push-ups. It's kind of hard to say based on whatever you've been doing. I don't know what you've been doing before, but really I like to include a weight vest for my push-ups, and then also kind of like a stair step push-up where you're bouncing off from one side to the other side. You're doing uneven type of terrain and working out those different types of muscles. Or plyometric push-ups where you're just jumping up, clapping with your hands. Anything that's just not a straight push-up. If you just keep on doing the same thing over and over again and you're not seeing any results, just vary it up like that. All right, Chris J. Reg. Deploying to Afghanistan next year. Any advice in staying physically and mentally fit for WaterCon without access to a pool? Depending on what place you go to in Afghanistan, there are some pools. But if you can't do anything with a pool, then you can look up some CO2 tables to practice your breathing, that kind of stuff. Or if you don't want to do that kind of stuff, just kind of visualizing yourself, even though it sounds ridiculous, close the doors to your room or whatever, videotape yourself doing an underwater stroke and get that form exactly down. Bring a master snorkel with you and practice the master snorkel. It may sound ridiculous right now, but I tell you, like, the guys that practice their room, the knots, the ditch and don, all that kind of stuff over and over again, even on dry land, they get that muscle memory down and they know exactly what it's going to feel like with their eyes closed. They can do it backwards or whatever. Those guys are the ones that end up making it. So I'm going to end up publishing the standards on the mask and snorkel, all the other stuff, exact techniques on how you're going to do it on my website. So look on there and check it out. Oh yeah, if you guys haven't seen it yet, my website is actually live. I just put it up live a couple hours ago. So go check it out. I put up the pass standards. I said this at the beginning, but I know some of you guys weren't on yet. I put up a lot of the pass standards and equipment, stuff like that you're going to need for the workouts if you are going to be doing the workouts. LASIK before signing up is not disqualifying, just so you guys are aware. Oh, somebody already answered it. Cole Stiller, pros and cons of a rescue squadron versus special tactics squadron. So let me just describe them first. Special tactics squadron stationed, that was my first duty station over in England. And the way that special tactics squadrons are, there are a lot less PJs and controllers like total there. You can expect that there were probably around 20 slots total for a PJ, and same thing for controllers. And their job is more or less to augment SEAL teams and Green Berets and Rangers and all that kind of stuff. The only time that they're going to go as a unilateral force is if they're going to do like a rescue mission or something like that. I've done a couple that we fly out on C-130 over the ocean, throw out a boat and then rescue these guys or whatever. And we take a controller with us, let that we have radio support because that's their bread and butter. Other than that, you're going to be pretty much deploying as a PJ and a controller together, and you're going to attach to Navy SEALs or whoever it is. You also have the option of augmenting a rescue squadron if they need whatever they need. But for the most part, your focus is going to be more tactics than just straight rescue. Obviously, you're going to be able to do everything that the regular rescue guys are going to be able to do, but you are going to focus more on tactics. For the rescue squadron, it's cool that you deploy as a team all the time. You're always going to deploy with your team unless a special mission comes down and they need an augmentee for whoever it is. But for the most part, you're going to stay as one team and deploy that way. So it's kind of like, good and bad of each, but I personally prefer being at a STS unit rather than a rescue squadron just because I enjoy that flexibility and freedom to bring whatever I want on the mission and be squared away, meet new guys, learn new things from different people, and, do that kind of stuff. Mercury, how much should I be running a week? 20, a good number. It depends on where you're at right now. If you're able to run a 6 mile in under 44 minutes, then maybe you don't need to focus on running as much and you can sustain that. Focus on whatever you're weak at. But 20 or 30 miles is definitely a decent amount of running. But again, like with the push-ups, make sure that you're varying up your workouts. You're mixing in some intervals or sprints or hill workouts or, whatever it is. Because if you just do the same thing over and over again, you're just going to get stagnant. The Honey Badger 95, how do you get assigned to an STS? It's kind of luck of the draw. It's a little bit more difficult because there are less slots to go to an STS. But a lot of times if you volunteer for the overseas, you'll have a better chance of getting an STS unit. And you definitely have to be a little more squared away since you're kind of doing your own thing and you're in charge of all your equipment and you're in charge of being the primary medic and personnel recovery planner for whatever team you're with. So you have to show a lot of maturity and that kind of stuff to be a STS unit. KDD 254, how long do you have to be in the Air Force? I'm not sure what that's in reference to. Is that talking about being an STS unit? You can go straight from apprentice course to go to an STS unit, just like I did. Club Henry, tips on staying in shape in BMT. You can do pull-ups on the side or in between the lockers, throw a chair up on there, do push-ups in the middle of the night. You might get yelled at, but it's not a big deal. They're just going to yell at you. Honey Badger 95, if you kind of get to pick if you go to a rescue squadron or STS. like I was saying last week, if I was at the top of my class, so I get to pick whatever assignment came down. So, do good, and you'll get rewarded by being able to choose, what assignment you go to. BC sneaks, are the pass rates at Indoc higher for prior service versus airmen coming straight out of basic? Yeah, I'd say that for the most part it's higher. Sometimes it dips back down. It's kind of funny about the prior service guys is that they give themselves a way to, I can just go back to my other job. I had that down. It's no big deal. I mean, it kind of sucks right now anyways, and I don't want to go through Indoc, so I'll just go back to my other job. So it's kind of hard to say exactly the stats on that, but that's kind of what I see. All right. Let's see. Joseph Tizio, chance of me being your instructor. Nope. Also, if you guys didn't tune in last week, I'm actually no longer an instructor anymore. Officially, Monday was my final out date from Lackland. I'm going over to Fort Sam, and I got accepted into the physician's assistant program. So it's a pretty good program for later on in my life. But I will tell you guys a little more. Say hi to Ben Sanders for me. Yeah, he just got there, I think it was like 6 months ago now. But I will. I'm still going to stop by Indoc all the time. And if you are one of the guys that's doing my workout, definitely message me whenever you're shipping off, and I will make sure that I'm there for your graduation, at least. Or, Hell Night. Club Henry, what made me want to become a PJ, and did I have a backup plan? So I went over this a little while ago, or a couple weeks ago, but for you guys that are joining for the first time, so I want to become a PJ because overall arching thing is, I feel like I wanted to help people, and my life the way it was before I joined the military was not making me feel as though I was doing anything good for anybody or even myself. I was a waiter at a Mexican restaurant. I worked at JCPenney's and that kind of stuff. But throughout my time there, I saw a couple times where I could have saved people, could have helped them, like babies that stop breathing, people that are having heart attacks and that kind of stuff. So I didn't want to feel like a helpless person. I wanted to feel like I can actually help people. And, every room that I was in was safe because I was there. So I wanted to do this for those reasons. Also, I couldn't see myself in an office at that point. I was just, ready to go and freaking do whatever it was. I just had a lot of energy and a lot of drive, and I wanted to do something that was awesome and worthwhile. So that's kind of why I want to be a PJ. I researched, Green Berets, the SEALs, the Rangers, and all that stuff. At the end of the day, I picked PJ because their mission is always to save lives, and it's always to do good no matter what. And the only time that you're going to kill somebody is if they're threatening you or the people that you're trying to save. If you're looking to just straight up kill people all the time, then go do something else. I don't mind killing people if I have to kill people, but my job, I'd rather save people, especially Americans, and bring them home so that they can live out the rest of their lives. So I'm glad I've been able to do that. NJ Lancy, did I apply to become an instructor after your STS duties? No, I didn't apply. I got picked to be an instructor just because I had, a good resume, high scores and that kind of stuff. I really didn't want to go to be an instructor, and it's kind of funny because I really liked being an instructor now, but at the time I just want to stay at the unit, and I want to stay because I was deployed and they told me I had to come home from deployment early. So I want to stay on deployment. I want to stay with my team, and I wanted to, do all that kind of stuff. But I guess at the end of the day, it was worth it because I was able to give back to a lot of people that were going through Indoc, and I hope that I left an impression and they've learned a couple things. I definitely learned a lot about myself, and it's helped me grow as a person, just being in contact with these individuals that are motivated day in and day out. So, yeah, I've enjoyed it. T. Cheney 2016, can you describe the crow side of things a little bit? I know it's the officer side of PJ. I was looking for a little bit more in-depth answer. All right. So combat rescue officers, their main job is to advocate and plan missions for personnel recovery. So personnel recovery is an overarching word for SEER and pararescue. So they're in charge of both. Right now we have crow officers that are up at Fairchild in charge of all of the SEERs training and that kind of stuff. And then there are crows that are in charge of PJs. So they're not directly just PJs. When they're on a mission with the PJs, their primary job is to go up and out. They're going to be on the radio. They're going to be doing, some casts, that kind of stuff. That's going to be their main job. And they are not paramedic certified like PJs are. And they also don't have the full knowledge on the rescue techniques, the ropes, and all that kind of stuff. So they train with us, but they're just not as in-depth. They're not really responsible for knowing every single thing that a PJ knows. They're responsible for advocating for the team, mission planning, and that kind of stuff. So the first couple years they'll be deployed. Maybe I've seen 3 deployments where they really go on missions, but after that they're going to sit in the jock, coordinate assets, and really move big picture things and not be so involved in the tactical type of stuff. It's a really important job, though. Also, it's not like I'm trying to downplay it. They do a lot of stuff and they help a lot of people, but it's not always as hands-on as PJs are. Jesse Rose, is there any correlation between the age of airmen and the likelihood of graduating the Indot course? Yeah, you see people that are a lot closer to the lower 20s age. They end up making a lot of impulsive decisions, and they just are not as mature, so they, don't have the discipline to train at night all the time or actually listen to the critiques that the instructors are giving them. So you see a little bit of difference like that. And the older guys, they'll listen, they'll, practice in the room at night, spend whatever they got to do in order to actually get it done. It's just kind of like when I was going through college and I was younger. I went for 2 years and I just didn't care because I was, young. I was like, I got plenty of time to do that stuff later or whatever. But now if I go to college, I spend as much time as it needs or as much time as it takes to make sure I get a good grade in my class and that kind of stuff. So it's just a level of maturity. Did you have a hard time at pool comp, or do you have prior swimming experience? Marco S. Torres. Yeah, I did have prior swimming experience, but it was really just like a summer league type of swim session that I did when I was in 8th grade, so it wasn't a really in-depth swimming experience. But I think if you really spend the time and you make your foundation and watch YouTube videos. Actually, I need to save this before I run out of time. So let me make sure that I save this, and then I'll jump right back on, all right? I'll be right back.